Hey, if you're a video creator or a streamer, you're probably looking for a way to spice up some of the basic ways that video gets displayed in OBS. And in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to do something that looks nicer than the default rectangle that you're going to get when you add a video capture source. You've probably seen a lot of videos like this where there's just a rectangle down here with the video in it, and then maybe a game or a desktop shared in the background. And this looks fine, but it just looks very basic. So if you're looking to add some personality to this, in this video I'm going to show you how to get to something that's a little more like this, where you have a custom shape. I've got a circle in this case, which is kind of a nice default, and then maybe a little border or something around it just so that it pops a little bit from your background, and viewers can separate it, recognize your face a little bit, because it stands off of whatever it is that you're showing in the background. Stick with me, and that's what we're going to do in this video. So to get our circular video set up, it's going to require a few steps. We're going to need to make a couple images. You can use any image editing tool to do this, but I'm going to use Affinity Photo. So I'm going to switch here. And you can see down here the circular videos with the backgrounds, what we're going to be going for here. So I'm going to switch over to Affinity Photo, and there's going to be two separate images that you're going to need. One of those is going to be called a mask, and that's this one. And the way it works is anything that appears in white is going to be preserved from the video, and anything that appears in black is going to be masked or removed from the video. So what you'll need to do is create an image that's the same size as your resolution on your camera. If you have a full HD camera like me, that's going to be 1920 by 1080 pixels. But you can just check the resolution for your camera and make sure that your image size is the same size. And then all that I did was create a black background using a black rectangle, and then just made a white circle that filled up the image from top to bottom, where it's equal size all the way around, so it's not like an oval that's smashed, but it's a circle. And a lot of image editing programs, you can hold down, I think, like Control or Shift and Control to keep it from to keep the proportions equal vertically and horizontally. So anyway, yeah, I made the circle image here for the mask, and then you can just save this off as whatever you want, like a PNG or a JPEG. And then what I did next was I made a slightly larger or slightly taller image in a separate file. And the green here represents the size of the white circle from the mask. And then the reason I made this file a little bit bigger is because this is where I want to create an outline for the video source. So what I've done is I've basically made another white circle behind the video. And this is to help separate it from the background, just in case your video happens to be the same color as the background in some places or whatever. It's just going to help the video stand out. And then this is just a style choice, but even with a white circle, if your video has a white background and the thing that you're putting your video over is white, you can still not see any separation. So I also added a darker circle. It's like a dark gray circle around the white circle. And that way, no matter what's in the background, I'm guaranteed to have some separation. And then one last thing that's worth mentioning here is the background of the overall image is transparent. So you can see the kind of checkerboard pattern coming through, which just, indicates that there's no image back here, and that's going to be transparent. And this one you're going to want to make sure you save out as a PNG to preserve that transparency. So and I just saved both of these into my OBS file folder, but you can put them anywhere you want. So those are the two images that we need. Now we're going to go back to OBS. And one thing that's worth mentioning is there's different ways you can apply this mask. And some of the tutorials I've seen do it in a way that's very restrictive. So I want to show you how I went about doing this. So the problem you can have basically is if you just apply this filter or mask directly to your video source, like over here in your sources, you can't change it on any of your other scenes. So if you set it here, what's going to happen is you're going to get a circular video that looks kind of like this, but it's going to look like that everywhere. you can't get back to the full rectangular image that's coming out of your camera. So instead of just adding it directly on your source, a better way to do this is to make a new scene. So if you don't are not familiar with this, you can just add a scene and you'll have to give it a name, and then this will just be empty. And then you can add your video capture device and just set it to your camera. And then what we can do once we have that in place is we can, instead of clicking on the source, we can click on masked camera over here, or whatever your scene name is. And that's where we're going to go in and we're going to go to the filters option. And in the filters option, you can see I've already added this. I have an image mask blend filter, but if you don't have this set up yet, you can just go to plus and you can choose image mask blend, and you're going to get the same menu that we have over here on the right. And then by default, it's not going to have an image in there, so you're just going to want to browse to wherever you have that image and choose it. I've already got mine, so that's already set up. And then I was able to use the default alpha mask color channel. I've seen other people need to choose the alpha channel option, but for me, color channel worked just fine. And then I'm just gonna hit close on that. So what that does is it gives us this scene where the image is a circle, but you can still see here that I'm able to use the full camera image. And then here I can have a rectangular image if I want that's smaller, or a circular image if I want that's smaller. So yeah, the way you would actually use this mask camera is to go into whatever the scene is that you're interested in. So in my case, that's Canon desktop. And then what you can do is you can hit this plus for add, and one of the options is scene. So you'll choose scene. And then from scene, you can choose whatever the scene was that you created. So mask camera in my case. And you can see here, the source name is the scene name over here. So that's why that is the way it is. And when you initially bring it in, it's probably gonna be really big like this, but you can just grab one of these corners and shrink it down to be whatever you want it to be. So let's see, let's get it about there. Can I get it a pixel smaller? Yeah, there we go, perfect. And then the other thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to bring in the outline that we created for the video background. So I'll just go ahead and remove this for now, and we'll add it back. So again, I'm going to go to sources, plus I'm going to add an image source, and I'm going to call it camera circle background, and we'll say okay. We're going to choose our image. So in my case, it's this camera circle background. And I'll say okay. And then you'll notice this is a couple things. One is that this is really big. The other is that it's actually in front of the video. So first, let's grab our source here for the background and drag it below the camera. And that is going to get it behind the video. And then the next thing we want to do is just shrink down that circle so it's not so big, So here, I'm going to just make that smaller, and by default it's going to preserve the proportion so it doesn't like turn into an oval if you move it too far sideways or down. And we just want to shrink it up to the size we want, and you don't need a lot, you just want enough to kind of separate the video from the background, or at least that's what I want. So I'm going to get it just a couple pixels off of the video and then try to shrink the other side as well. And that's looking pretty good. If you want to, if you're having trouble like getting it exactly where you want, you can also use the arrow keys to just push it around 1 pixel at a time in different directions. But yeah, overall, I think that looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. You may want to play around with like, testing out different size borders, or if you want the 2 borders or 1 border or no border or a shadow, whatever. But it's all going to be the same process. You just drop the image that you want to use as your backdrop behind the video source, and you should be in good shape. So yeah, I hope that helped you out. I think it's a much more interesting look than just having this clunky like rectangle down in the corner. I think for one, it just looks kind of basic and a little old school. And then also, it actually hides a lot more of the desktop or the game or whatever it is that you're sharing in the background. So I think just having that circular shape, it kind of frames your face well and doesn't get rid of too much of your background. So yeah, anyway, I hope that helps. Let me know if you have any questions about this. Yeah, I'd love to see too if you come up with any like custom shapes or whatever. So yeah, if you have any examples of things like this that you've done, please leave a note or a link in the comments. If this video helped you out, hit like and hit subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, and then also hit the little bell to be notified when more videos come out. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.